And we're live. What's good, Ohio Cannabis Report community? It's your boy Gerald Moore Jr. back with another episode of some updates and news of all things Ohio Cannabis Report. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe just to help us in the feed. We continue to bring you guys news and updates as Ohio's cannabis industry continues to evolve. Just a disclaimer: we are news, independent, grassroots news. Uh, Media platform. So please just understand this is for news and educational and entertainment purposes only. I'm not a lawyer. I am not affiliated with any cannabis brands. And so I am the president of a nonprofit, Green Environmental Outreach. I also am just myself. So all the comments, all of the opinions and thoughts are just mine. They do not represent any of the organizations, affiliations, companies that I may interact with. And so just to get that out of the way, I hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had a great Valentine's Day if you celebrate. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the world. And so we focus on Ohio cannabis. Obviously, there's a lot of states that have legalized cannabis. We do touch on Michigan a little bit here or there, but that's about it. What's good, Robert? Thanks for joining. I've been off. I haven't been live for about a week because I did violate YouTube YouTube policy. So that's why you haven't seen us for a few days. But it was good to have a little break, so I'm glad to be back. But there has been some updates also. For me, I am organizing the Central Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum and panel discussion April 4th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Columbus, Ohio. The event is free. I just ask that you RSVP. We are accepting donations to help support this event so we can continue to do more forums like this, more events, and keep up with the production. Obviously, I would love to grow the production quality of the platform. We are still using StreamYard. I use free StreamYard. Obviously, I'm on social media, all the other social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Substack. We have a Patreon, but I haven't been really using the Patreon. And then we're on Threads as well. And so obviously I'm a one-man show over here. So please be patient with us. But if you do like what we're doing, I would love to support. All the support goes a long way. And so that event will be great. I have a great panel for you guys, people from all over the Central Ohio region. And then we have some folks coming up from Athens. And I'm planning on making this a series. So this is the first one. I just reached out to people that I knew would be interested in being on the panel. And so that's why we kind of have this dynamic on this panel. But I'm thinking about other panels and other series that we can have as a part of this. It's more of a community thing too. So just trying to build community, just trying to have dialogue and conversations and network and bring people like minds together. Obviously, cannabis is still a very touchy subject when it comes to corporate America, when it comes to politics. So I have invited a few politicians from the Columbus area. I've invited state representatives, state senators. I've invited city council president Shannon Hardin. I invited pretty much all the city council of Columbus. And then I invited some of the county commissioners. So we'll see who shows up. I did get some responses back. We are still looking for a few vendors and sponsors, nonprofits to help support if you want to have your organization aligned with this great forum. So we are having a community sponsor for $50. You get your logo on all of our advertisements for the event on all of our social media. We have over a few thousand people on all of our social media platforms combined. You will get your information at a resource table. So if you have pamphlets, flyers, whatever you have, we'll also give you a shout out at the event. We will have media there at the event as well. And then for $250, you get that will be the social equity sponsor. And so with the social equity sponsor, you get your own resource table, resources at the table. We give you a shout out at the event. Obviously, you get your logo and all your information on our social media as well. And we also do a 10 to 15, 20-minute podcast about you and your organization or your company. And so if you feel as though your brand aligns with cannabis social equity and helping communities that have been harmed by the war on drugs, marginalized communities, communities that have been underserved, over policed for far too long, this event will align with you. So just to get that out of the way. And then we have some news. Obviously, I went over last week all the stuff with the attorney general. So obviously that's still, that's a whole thing. But the lawsuit, Ohio Attorney General sued 9 multi-state operators in the state of Ohio for basically acting as a cartel and price fixing the industry. So a lot of people, obviously in Ohio, have been complaining about the prices. And obviously people are like, I'm gonna just go to Michigan because Michigan's closer, or Michigan has better deals, Michigan has better products, which completely understandable. If you look at the state of Ohio, I'm in central Ohio, I'm in Columbus. I literally have 4 dispensaries within probably like a 15-minute drive, maybe even more. So I understand why some people have to go, up in this region, up here, close to like Cleveland area. There's like huge gaps where there are no dispensaries, where it makes a lot of sense. For me, I'm not about to drive 3-4 hours to get to Monroe, right? Or to go to Detroit to get some weed. So for me, I support local growers. So shout out to all the local growers. So I try to support the local growers as much as possible. I try to support local cannabis dispensaries and cannabis companies, because we do have a few. And so again, that's why we try to create this platform, so we can try to disseminate all of the noise in the industry. OCAN, some of those multi-state operators are a part of OCAN. OCAN is the Ohio Cannabis Coalition, and they basically have tagged themselves as the cannabis industry leaders, right? They're the voice of these cannabis companies, dispensaries, processors, ancillary companies, cultivators, labs. And so they have basically combined with regulate alcohol, or regulate marijuana like alcohol, the companies or the lawyers that basically funded and pulled the people together and resources together for issue 2. And now OCAN is backing SB 56. So they backed issue 2, right? What we voted for: full legalization, recreational, obviously home grow, tier 3 craft grow dispensaries. And now they've switched the tune and say now they're supporting ending hemp. So come March 20th, all hemp products will be out of stores, gas stations, the hemp dispensaries, and anything that is hemp derived has to be sold in a dispensary. So that is one of the issues that we are facing. Obviously, there is a referendum that was passed by the AG, and they're out collecting signatures now. So you can go to noonsb56.com if you are interested in signing the petition. I know people are going around. I actually just saw some people on High Street earlier today that were walking around with petitions, getting signatures. I know there's people in Cleveland, Cincinnati, Dayton. So reach out and I can contact some folks. Also, I think there's people on Reddit that are sharing information, people on Facebook groups. So if you look up Ohio marijuana groups, there's a couple on Instagram that I'm a part of as well. So if you're interested in volunteering, I know they're looking for volunteers to collect signatures, and they're also looking for people to sign signatures. They're looking for small business owners to host signature signing events at their establishments as well. So get connected with those people over at No on SB 56. It's a group of folks. Pretty good group. A lot of them are hemp folks. So a lot of them are either hemp companies, hemp beverages. I think there's a couple like retail stores and stuff like that. I actually just had an interview with Senator Bill Demora, which I will be uploading here soon on the channel. But one of his things was, why aren't we getting 2 signatures? So basically, he was like, I understand that the referendum and all that went through the AG, but you're only getting signatures for no on SB 56 when you should be getting signatures on a constitutional amendment as well, instead of having to do the constitutional amendment signatures again. Because what he basically said is, all right, if you get all the signatures for no on SB 56, it gets on the ballot and you pass it, right? Everybody goes out and votes for no on SB 56. He says, well, basically all of the GOP, the Republican body, has to do is change a sentence in that law and everything restarts all over again. So basically, he's like, you're spending all this money, all this time, all this energy to get volunteers, to get signatures, and they're only getting one signature for no on SB 56 when they should be getting two signatures for a constitutional amendment, which obviously, like, I'm not really a part of this group. I don't know the group specifically. I know a couple of people that are a part of the group with no on SB 56. And again, they're small business owners. And so, I kind of stay in my place. You know what I mean? Like, I stay in my little media box over here. We'll try to disseminate as much information and resources. But for me, like, I have my own ideas, my own agendas as well. So I don't really get into those things over there. So again, I think it's a good thing. Obviously, SB 56 is going to hurt a lot of people if it's passed, or it's already passed. But once it goes into effect March 20th, those laws are in effect. And, depending on what city you're in, obviously I'm in Columbus. Again, this was another thing that Bill DeMore said on our interview, was basically, I've talked to Columbus police, and he was like, if we see people in Columbus walking on the street smoking weed, we're not going to basically deal with it because that's a waste of our time. So, obviously a major city like Columbus is going to be different than your smaller cities, your smaller towns that could use that tax revenue for arresting people, giving fines, locking people up. So, obviously spread the word, because this is the law. And a lot of people don't know that the law is changing, right? So again, public consumption is now fine, criminal offense. Smoking in your car, even if you're not driving, even if you're a passenger in the car, that is a fine. That is a criminal offense. Driving with cannabis not stored in its original package from a dispensary is now a fine and a criminal offense. Driving across the border, purchasing legal cannabis from Michigan, bringing it across state lines, obviously that was already federally illegal, but now it's a criminal offense in Ohio, and they will be obviously waiting for you to cross the border. If you do buy weed, or if you're traveling with weed, it has to be placed in the trunk of your car or the furthest region behind the driver's seat if you don't have a trunk, in an unopened container. Also, we have homegrown. So what is original packaging and homegrown, right? Like, if I'm walking around, or if I'm traveling and I got my mason jars and this is my homegrown, or, I went to a buddy who, grows really good weed. Shout out to the homies at Ohio Boys. And I'm traveling around with one of these, obviously this is not original container from a dispensary. So there's going to be a lot of issues. Obviously, we have seniors now that are consuming cannabis legally. You have people that are medical patients. This also opens up the book for probable cause. It opens up the book now for discrimination. So there's a lot of things that is in SB 56 that's going to harm a lot of people, right? We live in Columbus, or we live in Ohio, where there's a housing shortage and a housing crisis, right? So if you're a renter, obviously people are like, I'm still smoking my house, I'm gonna smoke off the balcony, what have you, which again, you got to do what you got to do. But again, it opens up the books for landlords to, do whatever they want to do. And so it also opens the book for employers to discriminate as well. So this is going to hurt a lot of people. I'm a business owner, right? I'm a nonprofit leader. So I'm not going to drug test myself. You know what I mean? I also own a home. I also have a garage. I have a backyard. You know what I mean? So I can consume wherever I want in my house. Again, but a lot of people don't have that privilege of owning their own home. So where are you going to consume, right? There's no consumption lounges. What else did they add? They reduced the THC level from 90 to 70%, I believe. Don't quote me on that. They capped dispensaries in the state at 400. So right now we're at about 200 dispensaries for the state. So they capped it at 400. They also took out the social equity funds. So they did keep some of the community funds, so about 36%, which again, they just rolled out, which we'll go over some articles to talk about that here, and how some cities and towns are using or planning to use those funds. But they also took out 36% of social equity funds that was also supposed to go to local communities for expungements of records, helping communities most harmed by the war on drugs, helping folks with education, roads, whatever communities really want to use that funding for. So there's a great idea that's coming out of Cincinnati that we'll go over that article as well. So again, there's been a lot of movement going on in the industry. People have to be vocal though. You know what I mean? Like I'm vocal, but more people have to get vocal with their legislators. You have to contact your legislator. You have to know who your state senator is, who your state representative is, who's the chair over these boards or over these committees. People have to start working. You know what I mean? Like the politicians are supposed to work for the people, but technically they work for the people who meet with them on a consistent basis. So the lobbyists, right, who are lawyers, typically paid by a law firm, who are paid by, industry folks who want an agenda, right? So you look at the OCAN, you look at these businesses, they're going to lobby, right? They're going to use their power to lobby at the state house and go meet with state representatives every single day, every single week. They're meeting with state senators. They're meeting with Congress representatives, congressmen and women. They're meeting with the governor. And so again, if the people aren't doing that, the people are going to steady be hurt, right? It's the same thing with the data centers, right? Everybody's, I post stuff on TikTok and it's a bunch of people coming to comments. Oh my God, my electricity bills, my water bills. When's the last time you reached out to your state representative? When's the last time you reached out to your state senator? When's the last time you reached out to your county commissioner? When's the last time you reached out to your city council? When's the last time you took a group of 5 to 10 people, 20 people from your community to these people and said, no, this is not what we want. This is not what we asked for. And you need to change it or you will be out. Right. And so, a lot of people are cool with being treated this way, clearly in Ohio. Clearly, these Republican politicians don't give a fuck about y'all. You know what I mean? So again, if you leave them to do whatever they want to do, they will do whatever they want to do. They'll continue to pad their pockets. They'll continue to be fraudulent. Ohio is known to be one of the most fraudulent state governments in the country at this point. So, again, but it's a lot of people are complicit because they're silent, they're quiet, or they'll complain online and then they won't take the complaint offline and send it. All you got to do is send an email. You know what I mean? All you got to do is go on their website and send them an email. You know what I mean? Tell them you want to have a meeting. If you're not getting paid enough, if you're out of work, if healthcare costs are too high, if gas is too high, food is too high, taxes are too high, you need to be talking to your state representatives. You know what I mean? And I'm still a novice, right? Like I've only been in part of this process for probably the last 6 years where I've been having communications with the state level government, with city government. And so what one thing they've told me is that a lot of people don't come and talk to them. Obviously we had COVID, but you can call them, you can email them. A lot of them are on social media. Contact their aides. I mean, I've invited I think I invited three or four state representatives, senators to the event, and all of them pretty much got back to me because I went through their state their legislative aid, right? And so all of that information is on the website. You know what I mean? So people have to be more. You have to be active in politics. You can't say, "Oh well, we voted for this." Well, yeah, and then you didn't show up when they were trying to change the law. You know what I mean? Because they were trying to change SB 56 for as soon as we passed issue 2, right? And there were about 40 of us going to the state house to testify against opposing SB 56 or variations of SB 56. And so again, obviously everybody's not in Columbus, everybody can't make it to Columbus, but guess what? You can write a testimony and send it in. You don't have to actually be in the presence to have your testimony heard and read. One, we have to get better educated on civics, how to be involved in the state level government, city level government, county government on a day-to-day basis. It's not just, oh, I voted for this and just leave it up to the gods to just figure it out, right? And that's what a lot of people, they do, right? We vote, oh, I voted for him. He said he was going to do this, and then get mad 4 years later when they don't do it, or you're in a worse position. But did you keep up with the legislation? Did you keep up with the policy? No, because most people are too busy working and then being entertained by bullshit, right? Or they're tired. I'm exhausted. Trying to figure it out. I'm working 2, 3, 4 jobs. I got kids. I got this over here. I still got to try to have a life. Whole time these politicians, they don't have a life. As we see, they do all their dirt right there, right in our faces, and then people just let it slide. So again, it takes all of us, right? I started this platform really just to be a vessel, just to hopefully open up people's brains a little bit. Because again, it's an industry now. Cannabis is an industry, and there's more than just the plant touching side, right? There's an ancillary market, right? So I look at Ohio Cannabis Report as an ancillary part of the industry, right? This is the media side, this is the storytelling side, production side, events. So sorry about that, but there's a lot, man. You guys stay on top of this stuff. All right, it's always been 1 or 2 man show. Oh, for sure. I mean, I like it that way because for me, I don't really like telling people what to do. You know what I mean, or telling people how to do stuff. One, because I understand people have their own gifts, people have their own processes. Um, and for me, like I don't have money to, pay people right now in terms of this venture. But again, it's purpose, it's passion, right? Like I have a certain purpose and passion. I'm in a certain position in my life where I've been a stay-at-home dad for the last few years, but while cannabis was becoming legalized, so it was like, well, I would love to be involved with the industry, but how am I going to do that while watching kids all day, right? So it was like, oh, I could start Ohio Cannabis Report and just talk about the industry. I could talk about reviews, or I could smoke whatever, you know what I mean? Start a podcast. So that was kind of my vision of how I got into this lane, because it also was like, well, I can't afford, let's say, 50 grand cash to try to apply for a license. It doesn't make any sense, right? I don't own a building that could be a cultivation facility. You would have to own that outright or have millions of dollars. So for me, it was like, what is the easiest way of entering in the Ohio cannabis industry, be a part of the industry with not being a part of the industry? Media, right? It's nothing to have my cell phone. I got my mic, so I do interviews and stuff like that. But storytelling is a huge part of the industry, right? Ending the stigma, right? Sharing the stories of people that deal with chronic pain or dealing with an illness or ailment, and they're allowed to have a brighter day, a brighter outlook on life because of cannabis, right? They're able to now spend more time with their family or friends in less pain, right? They're able to navigate PTSD or trauma because they have access to cannabis now in a more holistic way, where it's now, before we were sneaking it, right? Like I remember like how like my anxiety around smoking, because I've always been a public figure since I was a teenager, and I've been smoking weed since I was a teenager. And so it's like, but when you're a public figure and you are like in football, you can't be smoking weed, even though like everybody knows everybody smoke weed. But you can't just be out in the open. But again, the anxiety of like having to do a drug test, random drug test, right? College, I was drug tested randomly about 6, 7 times, 5 times by the NCAA, a couple times by the school, right? So again, your anxiety, like, oh shit, like I don't know if I'm gonna pass. And like if you don't pass, like you can be on ESPN. Why he not playing in the game? Why is their starting safety All-American not playing in the football game on ESPN in front of millions of people, in front of hundreds of thousands of fans, tens of thousands of fans? Oh, well, usually they'll say like team rules or something like that. But again, most people end up dwindling those team rules down to a couple things, and the word ends up getting out. And then it's like, oh, now cannabis is looked at as a character flaw, right? A lot of these coaches, oh, he's a pothead, he's a stoner, he's a weed head. That is a character flaw, right? Because we are conditioning people to think that you're a drug addict, right? Because you use cannabis. Whole time you can go get all the pills you want from the trainer and the doctor, right? Like nobody says anything about that. The head coach got, a bar full of liquor in his office. No, there's no problem with that. But you smoke a little weed, you know what I mean? You from the trenches, you got PTSD, you play football, so your body's always hurting and you just looking for something to mellow you out, relax you. Yeah, but you can come get these perks, you come get these ibuprofens, you can come get these Tylenols, you can come get the cortisone shot, you can get the Toradol shot to numb your shit before the game. Weed though, and so in college and pro ball, that was very much, the reality for a lot of guys. And if you're not a superstar, you know what I mean? Like one too many character flaws and you out of there. You know what I mean? They don't want to deal with you. One too many drug tests you fail, you out of there. You're in the program. So again, me being able to talk about cannabis publicly really came from me getting my medical card 6 years ago, and then being obviously being a published author in the book Courage in Cannabis. So make sure y'all go check that out. Dr. Bridget, she is a Ohio and Michigan certified cannabis doctor. So if you're looking to get your med card, I still advise folks to get a med card. I still have mine. And so, that's kind of where my passion and purpose by talking about cannabis in the community. Like, I'm not a big grower. Like, I leave that to the growers. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a chemist. I'm not a botanist. None of that shit. Give me some good weed. Tell me what I got. Let me smell it. If the terps is right, I roll it up. But other than that, I did grow this past year. I had my first harvest, which turned out pretty good. It wasn't too bad. So, I don't mind it, but I do like supporting those that really love the grow. Because that's what it's all about. Michigan has rec weed that fails testing, but everyone buys it for 60 to 80 an ounce. Right. And that's probably, obviously, again, Ohio is a state that a lot of people, is struggling, right? So, again, a lot of people are in the margins, right? So that's 60 to $80 ounce, you know what I mean? Plus the drive up to Michigan, it might be worth it for a lot of people. You know what I mean? I know people do caravans, so they, 3-4 people drive up. You know what I mean? It's like a monthly thing. Y'all go get y'all smorgasbord of weed. I get it. Shit, I just bought an ounce in Ohio for what, 90? Yeah, about $90. So yeah, I mean, there are prices. I mean, you just got to learn. You got to know how to shop in Ohio. And again, we say Ohio, but then people be like, "I'm from Cleveland. I'm not from Ohio. I'm from Columbus. I'm not from Ohio. I'm from Cincy. I'm not from Ohio." So like every part of the region, every part of the state got their own thing, right? So I'm in Columbus, right? So I don't know what's going on in Cleveland. Like, I'm not focused on Cleveland. Like, I got my own issues here in Columbus, right? We're not in Cincinnati. Cincinnati got their own wave, right? Columbus is a different beast, right? You obviously have the suburban outskirts of Columbus, which again, a lot of those have moratoriums. I think Westerville has a dispensary now. New Albany doesn't have one. Gahanna doesn't have one. Trying to think. Worthington doesn't have one, I don't believe. So a lot of the suburbs, Bexley, there's one on the border. There's like 2 on the border of Bexley. Who else? Upper Arlington doesn't have a dispensary. But Columbus proper, I mean, I think there's like 14 to 17 dispensaries in Columbus total. And so again, depending on where you are, there's some spots that have really good deals. I mean, over by me, even though Zips is a Ocan dispensary, they usually have 30% off like every day on something, whether it's and I usually get I get lotions and stuff like that. So I got the 1-to-1 CBD, THC lotions, stuff like that for me. Because again, just pain from football and just achy joints and ligaments and sore muscles because I still work out consistently. So I like to go to the dispensaries and get stuff like that. Sometimes I get some edibles. Usually I get a vape pen or something like that. But, also I go to the dispensaries as research and development. I like to see how the operations of the dispensary are, right? Like some dispensaries have drive-throughs, others don't. Some have an easier process of getting through. They're more fluid in their process. Sometimes I like to see the interior design. Sometimes I like to see how many employees are working, what type of employees are working. So again, my purpose for going into dispensaries are sometimes a little bit different than just going to get weed. Like, I'm going in as a media person, right? As an undercover, like, let's say, shopper, to some of these spots. So 5K to 120 miles, and I'll give you 30 days of collecting signatures. Yeah, you got to talk to them, man. You got to talk to them. Too bad they are doing this during winter. Yeah. And Ohio's a tough place, man. Ohio's a really tough place to get information to people, to educate folks, because it's so disjointed. You know what I mean? Like, even in Columbus, it's tough. You know what I mean? Like, you got people that don't hear about nothing until it's too late. You know what I mean? So that's why I use the internet and social media, because one, a lot of these news channels, my wife is a news anchor, for one of the news stations here in Columbus. But the reality is, a lot of these news stations, they dialed a lot of their team back. So they don't have a bunch of reporters. You know what I mean? They may have 4 or 5 reporters. So they're not able to cover everything. They may have one reporter at the state house. You know what I mean? So they're not able to cover everything that's going on. And that's why we need more people, more independent journalists. There's been a lot more people. Shout out to the Rooster. There's a lot of few people on TikTok that have been covering a lot of things at the State House. And unfortunately, again, everybody doesn't have access to TikTok. Everybody doesn't have access to high speed internet, 5G. So again, everybody's not going to get that information. You know what I mean? Some of these small towns, like I work in Springfield. My family, my in-laws are from Muskingum County and Zanesville. You think about places like Athens, some of these really small towns, they're not receiving a lot of the information. And so again, it's just a way of how Columbus and how Ohio is set up. We don't have a train system. You know what I mean? So a lot of the information is very, it reaches people very slow. Obviously, the newspapers have also dialed back. A lot of the newspapers also are pay now. So like even the Columbus Dispatch, I think one of the newspapers out of Cleveland and Cincinnati, you got to pay for those now. So if you're somebody that, is on a tight budget, you're not paying for that, and that's the only way the information gets out, because a lot of these platforms also aren't leveraging social media. So a lot of the news outlets aren't leveraging social media well enough. A lot of the newspapers aren't leveraging social media enough. You look at NPR, like the local stations, they're not leveraging social media enough. You look at a lot of the college newspapers, not leveraging social media and the internet enough. And so again, they're missing out on a lot of people where, again, I'm a millennial. Like most of our shit is coming from here, right? Like you either learning the news from Facebook, X, Threads, wherever, TikTok, YouTube. And so a lot of these companies or a lot of these cities, man, are really behind in really disseminating information to their constituents and their people, because they're not where their people are. And so they're not able to reach the people. But yeah, that winter storm definitely took a lot of people out. I'm going up north. Are they hitting people for that yet? No, they're not hitting people for that until March 20th. March 20th is when the law goes into effect. So yeah, SB 56 goes into law March 20th. Aloha, Captain Long Time, brother. Yeah, appreciate you, Hawaii Sustainable. Yeah, I was off for a little bit. I'm a rebel, man. So, I went against the YouTube guidelines and they spanked me on the wrist. You know how it goes. But I was just trying to share some information. I had put on a documentary, The 13th, which I think everybody should go watch. It basically just dives in deep about the war on drugs and how it impacted Black communities of color, mandatory minimums for weed. And then obviously, weed leads to cocaine and crack and all other things. So it discusses how, obviously the 13th Amendment, we say slavery, we don't have slavery in America, which is not true. The 13th Amendment, you could still be a slave in the United States by becoming a prisoner. So, Hi, Hawaii Sustainable. Hope you are doing well. And then they are trying to make the container BS here. Yep. And also Michigan just rose their taxes again too, or their taxes too. So, that's something to think about. Are they watching people coming back from Michigan yet? No. Sorry, I got to that late. Yeah, and home growth state too. Exactly. They have been watching for over a year now. Yeah. Yeah, they definitely, anytime I go up to Michigan, there's hella state troopers up there. So, they definitely trust me. They're definitely paying attention. You know what I mean? And last time I went up to Monroe, every dispensary I went to, it was mostly Ohio license plates. That was one of the craziest things to see, right? Is you get across the border, and then I think it takes half a mile till you get to your first billboard. We still don't even have billboards in Ohio, by the way. Like, we don't even have billboards that say, hey, there's a dispensary right here. Like, our Zips, it has a 21 plus. So if you're driving on the highway 21 plus, what you think that is? I'm thinking it's a strip club, right? Like, you ain't gonna think like, oh, that's a dispensary. So we still don't have marketing and advertising. We still don't have billboards that let people know. So again, but my thing is, like, with OCAN, the Ohio Cannabis Coalition, if you are supporting businesses, you should be trying to support those businesses growing, right? And making more money. How are you going to make more money if you can't even market and promote or advertise your location? That this is a dispensary right here, right on the highway. Somebody may be driving through the state. Oh, I'm going to go pick up a little zip real quick. I'm going to go pick up a little 2.5. You know what I mean? A little 10th. And I want, I'm going to keep going on my way, but I don't know, right? Unless I'm looking, right? So, again, they are trying to shut down and overregulate the industry before it ever really gets started. And so that's what we're dealing with. But that's also why us as the people, we have to get involved as cannabis consumers. We have to come above ground now. We can't keep staying below ground. Everybody not a drug dealer either. So like if you're not pushing pounds, speak the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like everybody not a drug dealer. If you're just a consumer, if you like to consume because it makes you feel better, it helps you with your pain, whatever, recreational, get more involved politically. You know what I mean? Because we need more people that are aware of how cannabis truly affects you, right? Because they're still trying to use all the old tropes. Cannabis makes you lazy, right? If cannabis makes you impaired, all of these things that we know as avid cannabis consumers, most of us can consume cannabis and go on about our fucking day better than before we had the weed. So again, we have to educate them, right? These legislators typically are lawyers. Some of them are doctors, right? Some of them are business owners. They don't know what weed is, right? They are still, and a lot of them are old, right? A lot of these politicians, these old white dudes, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. The fuck they know about weed? They military dudes, right? They're very, strict and by the book but then be doing hella corrupt shit on the side. You know what I mean? Be having hella extramarital affairs, but they're all conservative and family values. or they're funded by Les Wexner. You know what I mean? So again, if there's 11.8 million people in the state of Ohio, right? There should be way more people more active politically, right, at the state level. Because these are the people that are making the laws consistently, and they're not in the best interest of all the people. If you got some money, you're gonna be all right. If you got a business, you're gonna be all right. If you own a home, you're gonna be all right, right? But again, that's not everybody. What's good, everybody? Thanks for tapping into the chat. They didn't give me. I'm sorry. I missed out on some. You see them on 23 and 75. What type of business you own? So I have a nonprofit, Green Environmental Outreach. We focus on sustainability, environmental justice, social equity. I also have a sports performance company. I've kind of taken a break from that the last couple years, but I have a sports performance company where I train athletes, adults for health and wellness or sports speed, agility, consulting, helping people get college scholarships, stuff like that. But I've been kind of on pause with that, and then, Ohio Cannabis Report, my new company though. I actually just got my new LLC. It'll be under the GAMJ Limited. So that's going to be my newest venture that I'll put all of my cannabis stuff under. So I also have another brand called Athletes and Cannabis, where I promote athletes that consume cannabis. We tell stories, share stories, interviews, professional athletes, stuff like that. This will end events in Ohio. Yeah, it's definitely gonna. It impacts everything. I mean, sharing is pretty much considered illegal. Obviously, a lot of people have been having a lot of these consumption events. So it's definitely gonna change that as well. And again, my thing is like, if you're gonna do events, like at least have some organization there that can like talk about the policy, right? Like so many people are just, I'm gonna just smoke weed, sell weed, and I don't give a fuck about nothing else. And it's like, all right, like now the law is about to change, and now your quick little lick is about to be done, and now you're about to be a criminal again. Like you're about to be a felon again. And so again, that's one of my biggest things. Like I support the events. I like go get your money, but you should be involved in the community aspect, right? Because part of the issue with, all right, you selling your weed, but you're not putting no taxes back into the community, right? So you walk around strapped up, You know what I mean? And then you're selling drugs, obviously, you know, cannabis, whatever, but you might have something else. I don't know. Everybody sell a little bit extra. But then that tax revenue is not going back into the community, right? Instead of us fighting collectively to get the resources that everybody can eat, everybody can win. You know what I mean? Like we should all be pushing for folks that, you know, if you want to have a craft grow, we should have craft grow licenses. Those folks that are most harmed should get funding and support and resources to help them start up their businesses. Resources to help expunge criminal records, resources to help get folks educated so folks can get into the workforce. You know what I mean? Like, how you gonna take something? How you gonna say, well, weed's illegal for the last 6 decades? You don't lock people up for a plant, which most people, the ACLU did a research paper that studied that black and white people use cannabis and sell cannabis about the same rate. But most black people were not drug kingpins. The people that were getting arrested, they were small time people. Oh, you getting nabbed for, you know, a dime bag, a couple dime baggies, and now we're gonna say you're a drug dealer because you had multiple dime bags. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, like niggas wasn't pushing hella weight, but now you've destroyed families, you destroyed lives and communities over it. Where again, white communities have been growing, selling it, smoking it, going to college, selling it, smoking it. Hey, okay, you get popped in your community, you live in a suburb. He's just being a teenager. You know, his dad's a lawyer, dad's a doctor, dad's, you know, judge, dad's a business owner. Oh, I know, last name Larry, whatever, he gets off. It's not the same in the inner city. You know what I mean? They're going to look at that young boy that's 16, 17, 18. He's a grown adult. Nobody's coming to speak for him because his dad's locked up, dad's dead, dad's in jail. And, you know, the book gets thrown at you at 18 and now it's over, right? Like you might have had kids, like you can't go to college now, you can't get a job, you can't get government assistance. Now the plant's legal, and you got white girls with their bio talking about some I'm a legal drug dealer, walking around smoking weed. You know what I mean? But then in the cannabis industry, y'all not even letting us in because we can't afford to own it. You know what I mean? So it's, but again, people need to speak up. You know what I mean? Like, or the CEOs and executives of these major companies are just gonna do what they're doing. When does it take effect? March 20th. March 20th. March 20th. The law takes effect March 20th. 90 days after it was signed by the governor. So because if they didn't give the cities the tax money, then they could pull the occupancy permits and shut down the dispos. March 20th again. Beats the hell out of the pills. Overgrow how. Yeah, and everybody should be trying to grow, man. Go get some seeds. You know what I mean? The weather's starting to get nice. You know what I mean? We probably have, probably have another cold spell soon, but start popping them seeds, man. But if it fails, it's not safe to smoke, period. Gerald, spend your money with me instead. I'm cheaper and offer the same or better quality. Where you at? Where you located at? I always support the home growers, man. Now I got a few homies that grow, man. So I always got options. But I always like having more options. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, my guys may not be, maybe with his lady or something. You know what I mean? I like when I want it, when I need it, I need to be able to. And that's the one thing about the dispensaries too. It's like or Zips over here, they stay open till 10:45. So if it's a late night and I'm like, I need to pick up a little something. Just tuned in. Where can I sign a petition in Cleveland? I'm not on Facebook. I have no idea where to sign. Okay, go to nooonsb56.com. nooonsb56.com. And that is basically the hub. Those are the people that are running this whole thing. I'm not a part of this. I'm just relaying a message. Don't come to me. nooonsb56.com. Shows you all the information. They're seeking volunteers. I know they're doing volunteer trainings to help people get signatures and sign signatures. Let me see if I can look in the chat real quick and see if somebody's in Cleveland. Cannabis Consumer Coalition. Is there anywhere in Cleveland to sign petitions? All right, so we'll see when they get back to me. So hang tight. I just hit up the group chat to see if there's any place in Cleveland. If you're on Instagram, they're on Instagram as well. That's the problem, Chris. Yeah, they all on the same team. Yeah, the no SB56 page isn't very clear on where. Oh, sorry, maybe they are still. Yeah, they're still organizing. I mean, this stuff is all just happening. You know what I mean? Like the law was literally just signed, what, a month ago, 2 months ago. So there's a group of people that got together, right? A group of small business owners. So yeah, it's not very organized at all. And I don't know. I mean, at this rate, I don't know if they're going to get all the signatures, right? I think they have to get over 230,000 signatures from 44 of the 88 counties in Ohio. Obviously, all those signatures have to be from people that are registered to vote. So yeah, and then like I said earlier, yeah, we might get all the votes for a no on SB 56. It gets on the ballot, we vote, and then like I said, Senator DeMora said you can get all the votes and then pass it, and then the state legislator, the Ohio GOP, the Republicans can change one sentence, and it changes the entire thing all over again. So then it's like you just wasted all that money, all that organizing, all that time to get this one thing done. And this is mainly for the hemp companies, by the way, people like the people pushing no on SB 56 is App Girls Cannabis. So they're a hemp THC beverage. They're one of their founders, is one of the main guys. I saw Dr. Bridget as a part of there. There was a brewery and another company that creates their own THC beverages. So I don't know how many small businesses, breweries, bars, restaurants are a part of this. But obviously, it costs a lot of money to do this stuff. You know what I mean? So you got to understand, people are taking their own money from their businesses or their own personal money. You got to get lawyers to draft up the words to get it to the AG. They got it signed by the AG, and now they are tasked with getting all these signatures. I don't know if they found a company or a law firm or whatever to collect these signatures, but I know that also costs a lot of money as well. So I think they were trying to do as much grassroots work as possible without spending a ton of money. So again, this is why people as a community, we have to come together. You know what I mean? Like we have to pool resources, pool people together and get this done. And again, I don't think, again, passing SB 56, is that going to change everything? I don't think so. So again, these state lawmakers don't like weed, right? They don't like it. So stop voting them in. They don't like it. They have been very adamant that they don't like weed. And they would rather you drink alcohol. They would rather you be on pills. They would rather you be sick. They would rather you be unhealthy. They would rather you be in prison than for you to have weed. And it's as simple as that. And they've said it time and time again. They've said it on the record. This is why you have to be paid. Go watch some of our previous content. We've been covering this for years now. You know what I mean? So this shit didn't just happen, but people have to be involved. You have to be involved in your state politics. You can't just say, oh, well, it's not going to affect me. Oh, well, they're just going to no. The data centers, it's going to affect everybody. Your water bill is going to go up. Your heating, electric bill going to go up. They're going to put the old water back in. Like it's going to fuck up the environment. It's going to fuck up your community. But if you just stay silent, oh, we'll just move, or we'll just do that. It's like, why? Like when you could just be a part of the process. You know what I mean? 26 years ago, you could have gone to Lakewood and signed up with me at the normal chapter. Like even that, we got a normal chapter, but it's defunct. Like there's really no movement, right? Like the one guy, he came out like after, he was like, oh, I'm normal. And I was like, I haven't seen you. I don't know who you are. Like I've been doing this for a minute. Well, I've been doing this for 10, 15 years. Well, shit, I was in college 15 years ago, buddy. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the problem too. You got all these people that are so fucking entitled, right? Or they get these little positions, and it's like, who cares? Or what are you doing for everybody else? What are you doing for the community? Or are you just doing this for your resume, right? Or are you just doing this to build up your career in hopes to make a political push or hopes to get a job? Like the dude that's running Ohio Normal, like there is no work from Ohio Normal. Like they're not hosting events consistently. They're not putting out information. They're not doing anything. You know what I mean? So We don't have any of those organizations here doing anything. Marijuana Policy Project showed up. Karen O'Keefe, she's going to be on the panel April 4th. She's going to be virtual, but she's out of Michigan. And I mean, Marijuana Policy Project, I think, gave like 200,000 to issue 2. You know what I mean? So we need to see how they feel about this, because they helped support, the group that pushed issue 2 through, and now they've completely flipped issue 2 for SB 56. And so, politics, the thing about politics is like every day, like just like we gossip or we talk online, like this is how politics is. Like they're probably going at the State House right now. They took away Class 3 license. Yes, they took away the Class 3 license, the Tier 3 license, craft grow. So again, we voted for craft grow, right? For smaller grow licenses for folks that wanted to grow small batch, be able to get those to the dispensaries sell them. We still wanted tier 3 dispensaries. Still haven't gotten it. We still don't have delivery, right? So you think about alcohol. When you think about the bill was regulate marijuana like alcohol. So what can you do with alcohol? I can go to Kroger right now and buy some alcohol, right? And go to a liquor store, buy some beer, corner store, buy some beer, some wine. Some of the cities now have doors where you can drink your alcoholic beverage and walk around the city, right? If there's multiple bars or restaurants, I know here in Columbus, pretty much all the way down High Street, up and down High Street. So I should be able to consume my cannabis up and down High Street. What else? Yeah. So, a lot of the things, like we haven't fully realized what issue 2 even was, right? Before they completely gutted it, changed it on us. So that's one of the tough things. They don't even sell weed. It's all chemicals and hemp bud. Yeah, for sure. It's not all about THC weed. 90 days to collect 250K signatures to maintain your rights. Seems fair, right? Pay to play. Yeah, it's capitalism, man. It's just America. I mean, people got to shut the shit down, though. You know what I mean? Like we keep saying, well, you got all these politicians shut the shit down. Shut the whole game down. Most people can't afford it. Shut the game down. Stop trying to play a game that wasn't designed for you. If you're poor, why are you supporting billionaires and millionaires? That's what would be crazy to me, especially in Ohio. People be uneducated, illiterate, poor, unhealthy, and then you're supporting politicians who are millionaires. You're supporting politicians who are making, they own businesses, they're lawyers, they're doctors, they're taking backdoor payments from the lobbyists, from this company over here. You look at the HB6 thing. That was a what, $60 million? I think it ended up being like 600 million or something like that. Crazy bribery scandal. You know what I mean? Come on. Like people weren't even that upset about that. It's just like, I go to town hall meetings. Yeah, we need more town hall meetings. We need these politicians held accountable. I haven't seen nobody really hold Bernie Moreno accountable for anything. John Husted, he got a bunch of money from Les Wexner. Moreno said he wasn't going to give his money back. I know Shannon Hardin, he got money from Wexner. He said he was going to give his money to charity. Andrew Ginther got money, I think over like 100,000 from Les Wexner. Joyce Beatty. Hey, I mean, he was Republicans and Democrats. I speak at these meetings and I'm the only one. Yeah. A lot of people are in fear, man. A lot of people are scared. It's so many people that are just living in fear. Scared. They'll talk so much shit on Reddit. They'll talk so much shit in the comments. Won't bust a grape in real life, though, right? When it comes to speaking in front of people, when it comes to human interaction, motherfuckers shrivel right the fuck up. When it comes to speaking to your politicians, if it's somebody I don't know, though, and I don't like him, I don't like the way he's talking, I'm going to talk so much shit about him behind my avatar or my dog or my cat. That's why my name is on everything. All my social media platforms, it's my name. Like, I'm not hiding who I am. I take full accountability. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to be perfect. Just because I was a big time football player, made it to the pros, got cut, I'm still a human being. I still mess up. I'm from the trenches. I'm from the hood. I was born in the hood. Moved to the suburbs. Went to private school. Went to PWI. got my degree. Don't nothing really change. Like I seen the whole. I'm like, oh, what do they do different from the hood than let's say Upper Arlington? Well, people in Upper Arlington, the granddad had money, grandma had money, aunts, uncles had money, mom and dad got money, small businesses bought a piece of property. That property went from 100,000 to now being worth 300, 400, 500, a million. Now we take equity out of that house, start a business, start a real estate firm, start a law firm, start a private practice, send the kids to college, take them to vacation. In the hood, you don't own the home. You know what I mean? So you might get evicted, you might be renting, you might be leasing. The roads ain't there, you don't got good public utilities, you don't have good library systems, you don't have high paying jobs, the school system, the tax structure is fucked up. So in Upper Arlington you got a high tax structure, right? So the property taxes is going towards a $300 million brand new high school with 36 plus varsity sports. You go over to Linden, that tax base is different. Right? The property taxes in Linden versus in Upper Arlington, two completely different things. So again, people have to understand politics, and they're trying to take the property taxes away too, which is going to fuck up the school systems. Did you see Masterminds Ohio Cannabis Live upping the mold limits in Ohio weed? Yeah, I did see that. Ohio really bites the cannabis issue. It's sad. Need a governor that understands this for sure. And I don't think any of these governors running are going to understand us either, right? Like Amy Acton. But again, we have to educate these people. I don't know who's going to Amy Acton. I know Mastermind Anthony said he's going to. I think she has an event in Columbus this week, so I might pop in, get some content there, see if I can ask her a couple questions around cannabis. But yeah, Vivek Ranswamy, I mean, he's he trying to be as GOP as he could get as an Indian. Yo, I know y'all having a field day over there because I know how white people are. I know, I done been around a lot of white people, so I know these small town because he brown. And they trying though. They be having them at the Ohio State games. What else they had him in? They had him at he was at a ski resort this last week because I follow him. He had a ski resort trying to look like he fitting in. Like, bro, you is not fitting in at all. You are a Indian billionaire living in Upper Arlington, trying to push the GOP agenda. No one that is pro weed supports them. I sent their campaign an email about cannabis, no reply. That was a month ago. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta hit these people up directly too. Like emails, like I really find, and you gotta find out like who is either their campaign manager or like their right hand person, like the legislative aide. You gotta find the email, the direct contact to their direct assistant, right? A lot of times you send an email and it's just going to a bulk email and they'll get to it when they get to it, right? We're fucked. We've been fucked. Is Amy active progressive? The way she talked, like I feel so bad for her because she talked like she hurt. You know what I mean? It's not energizing. Like it's not like I just don't get the energy. You know what I mean? Which is it's hard, but she don't seem all too progressive. I don't expect a middle-aged white lady to be progressive. I don't even know how old she is, but she don't fit the description for progressive. And Ohio don't really want progressive. The cities, but again, you have these old farm towns that like it. We like the old school. We want it the way it used to be. He's in biofarm. Yeah, he's a biofarm guy. Why do we have a doctor versus? Yeah, because again, I mean, you look at the state of Ohio, we have one of the worst health. I mean, we're like 44th in overall healthcare. So again, unfortunately, a lot of the people in Ohio are, unhealthy, right? Our environments, our communities are unhealthy, right? Unless you live in a suburb that has Whole Foods, Giant Eagle, Kroger's, what's the other, the market, So a lot of the communities don't have access to quality food, right? There was an article that just came out talking about how Food deserts or food apartheid zones in Ohio are growing. And so those are basically communities that don't have easy access to fresh food and produce within like 5 to 10 miles of like walking, I believe. So there's a lot of places in Ohio that are food deserts, food apartheid zones. So again, that equates to bad health. Again, a lot of communities lack access to quality green spaces and parks, activity spaces, community centers, libraries. So when you look at a lot of these some communities in Ohio, like there's a lot of them that just lack basic access to things to help you be healthier, right? So if you just have a corner store and you got a McDonald's, you got Wendy's, you got Arby's, you got the gas station, but you don't have no Giant Eagle, you don't have no Whole Foods, you don't have no Kroger, you don't have all the corner stores just sell, junk food and drinks, right? Sugary drinks. You don't have no real small mom and pop shops anymore. I just read an article about how in the 1980s, basically, what was it? I forget the term, but it was basically something that they put in that were basically a lot of the bigger chains took over a lot of the smaller chains, which prevented a lot of smaller grocers. So, yeah, I mean, Ohio got a lot of work to do, and it's on us. You can't keep looking at the politicians, right? Like at some point, the people have to take ownership, right? The people have voted some of this in, right? Even though over 57% of us voted yes for issue 2.2 million people voted. More people voted for issue 2 than voted for Governor DeWine. Governor DeWine said, "Oh, stop whining." He said, "We're whiners." So again, y'all should be going ham on your governor, right? Like these are the people that work. They work for you. At the end of the day, they work for you. I don't work for you. They work for you. They work for us. Yeah, she seems a little frantic. She needs to speak on weed, but I don't know. She has a health director or something. Yeah. What's with yeah. Wonder if has anything to do with the opioid crisis. Probably. So you're saying we are enslaved? For sure. If you're not a millionaire in Ohio, you're definitely a slave to the system here. In my opinion. I've been around the elites. I know how they move. I was just driving through Upper Arlington earlier today. I know how to. You gotta watch how the elites live. Look how they talk about you, right? They'll talk so much shit about you, and their wives will be stay at home. The kids will have learning disabilities, but they have all of the support. The kids will have, some type of ailment, illness. They have all of the support. These suburban communities are definitely socialist. I mean, if you go through Upper Arlington, I lived in Upper Arlington for 4 years, and it's definitely a socialist vibe. Like, yeah, I mean, they have everything you need right there. You don't have to leave Upper Arlington if you don't want to. They have walkable streets, they have parks, library, solid school system, right? You got your own police. Dublin, same thing. You get to Dublin, you don't really got to leave. Pretty much everything you need. But again, the housing value, right, to even afford a home in those places, you starting at 200, you starting at 300, 400, $500,000, if not more, for a little small house, right? So again, most people can only rent there, lease there. And all these communities, those are the people that are highly engaged, though, politically, right? You look at a place like Upper Arlington, those people are highly engaged politically. Usually, I think John Husted lives in Upper Arlington. Again, Vivek Ramaswamy lives in Upper Arlington, right? The older people there, heavily involved in the city politics, heavily involved in the state politics. If you have businessmen and entrepreneurs and professors and lobbyists and lawyers and doctors that live in those communities, they're heavily involved in the politics because guess what? They don't want to pay more taxes, right? They want more money and resources in their communities for their kids to go, So again, politics is king. And if you're not involved, got to be more than voting. You got to show up, right? Got to do more than writing emails. Email's a good first step. Call's a good first step. Go meet them. Show up to their office unannounced and say, "Hey, I'm your constituent. I want to have a meeting." You know what I mean? Like, hit up that legislative aid. I want to set up a meeting. I interviewed Senator. I sent them an email saying, "Hey, I'm with Ohio Cannabis Report. I want to email Senator Bill DeMore because I know DeMore is he's been very vocal about cannabis." What date? That easy. Like, I'm not some big journalism program. Like, I'm not some big journalist. Like, my wife has an Emmy. Like, I'm just some random stay-at-home dad that, decided to get a little bit involved. You know what I mean? So if I could do it, you could do it. And people have told me to run for office and shit. I'm not running for office. I'll tell you that straight up. I'm not doing it because I see how y'all treat people. Y'all want shit and then don't do nothing. And then when somebody do something and it's the wrong thing or it goes against you, you mad. It's like, well, shit, they because Ohio should be on fire with the HB6. Ohio should be on fire with Les Wexner, Jeffrey Epstein. Ohio should be on fire with all of the corruption going on at the state level, the city council. I mean, there was some wild shit over in Whitehall. The one of the city councilmen was found to be like engaging in some type of wild sex, pedophilia, young children shit. Got voted in, got sworn in again. But yeah, it seems like I'm not from Ohio. I'm still new. Like I've been in Ohio for about 18 years. I came for undergrad in Athens, lived in Zanesville, where my wife is from, for about 2 to 3 years, and then we moved to Columbus area. So like I'm like, this how y'all roll over here? Because again, like most of my life, once we moved from the hood, like I was in the suburbs. I grew up in a black suburbs around $1 million houses. Professionals. My mom's a lawyer. My dad's a engineer. My dad worked for the federal government for most of my life. My mom worked for NASA most of my life. So for me, I'm like, shit, I'm privileged. I know I'm privileged. But when you see other people that don't exercise their privilege or their rights, or don't think they have rights, or don't think they have privilege, it's wild. Especially if you're white. Like if I was white, oh my God. If I was white, I would be so turned. Like, I don't know how y'all not turned. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how you white and poor. I watched my friend, one of my best friends from Zanesville. I tried out for the NFL, got cut, full scholarship athlete, got my degree, no money to show for it, right? So then it's like, well, you got to figure your life out, right? So I was like, I'm done with the NFL, retired, moved to Zanesville, start working, right? Well, I met this kid, and like we ended up becoming good friends. He was working at Verizon making 6 figures, dropped out of school, got a brand new Jeep Safari, like the kitted out, was living in a 3,000 square foot studio apartment downtown Zanesville. So I'm like, I just finished trying out for the NFL. I have no money. I just finished being an All-American football player in college. No money, no car, no nothing. Parents got divorced while I was in school. I met this kid. He white boy, dropped out of school from, I think he's from Coshocton. He not from, it's one of them towns out there. So then I meet him, and then like I'm like, how the fuck is you driving this brand new Jeep and living in a 3,000 square foot studio apartment? What the fuck are you doing with no degree? Like, oh, I do sales for Verizon. He's one of the best sales reps in the state for a while. So then I was like, wow. So that was a whole new perspective, right? But it showed me that he dropped out of school, went and got a sales job for a corporate company. Verizon Wireless had good government benefit or good benefits, health insurance, everything. 6 figures, no college degree, white boy. I've watched him go from that. Then he helped me get a job. I got a job. I basically took his spot at Verizon. He came to Columbus. Then I finally got transferred to Columbus after a couple months. And then like I've watched him go and work in the real estate industry under one of the biggest developers in the city. I watched him be like one of the head dudes under him. He went and took over like 3 properties. The guy had properties in Rhode Island. He had properties in California. And my good friend was doing all of the designs, doing a lot of the operations for these places. He took over 400 West Rich in Franklinton and helped turn that around. And I'm like, because he's a white boy, you know what I mean? Like, smart dude. Like, don't get me wrong, very smart, very inclined. But ain't no way you just getting jobs like this, you know what I mean, and able to move up. And I think now he's a last time I checked, he was doing gun sales. Like he's like a gun salesman now or a gun rep. But I mean, like, y'all gotta like after January 6th, like why ain't they been no insurrections? Like Trump's still in office doing whatever he want to do. The elites are not in the city. Yeah, they're in the suburbs. Or they own, they own the city, right? They own real estate, like they're the developers, right? You look at Upper Arlington or Bexley, like these are parts of the city technically, right? So you can literally be in Columbus and then two streets over you're in Grandview, two streets over you're in Upper Arlington, right? So yeah, a lot of the pockets of the wealth are in those suburban pockets. Bexley, you can be in the city of Columbus and then you're in Bexley, right? You can be in the city of Columbus and then be in Whitehall. um, so yeah, the money again. Where does Les Wexner live? New Albany, right? So then you look at where, and then you also have to look at where the businesses are. So you look at a place like Dublin that has tech companies, they have healthcare companies, and so a lot of those higher income people that can afford to live in those communities often live there because that's where their jobs are, right? And so they can afford to live in those places because they're making 100,000, 200,000, right? And so even people making six figures, though, a lot of people don't understand. Like people making six figures, a lot of people are struggling making six figures, right? You can be making six figures and struggling because you got to think about this, right? Let's say you make 150,000. You're a high tax or you're a high earner, so your taxes are going to be high. So a lot of people end up paying damn near 50% taxes. So you got to look at that 150 and take that down to 75,000, right? And then you got living expenses, right? You got rent, you got a mortgage, you got a lease, you got your car note, you got obviously daycare, childcare, you got food, you got gas, insurance. So a lot of people be making six figures, and on paper it looks good, but behind the scenes, right? Like a lot of people end up foreclosing on their house because the bank statement says, "Yeah, I make 150,000, but can you keep up with the payments? Can you keep up with the maintenance? Can you keep up with the lawn care? Can you keep up with keeping your kids in all the extracurricular activities? Can you keep up with travel? Can you keep up with again maintenance on the car? Again, lifestyle. You got to buy clothes. You got to get your hair done. You got to get your nails done. Your makeup done. Fellas got to get their hair groomed. You got to buy suits. You got to buy. So again, you at 150, 200,000, you chop that in half, especially if you're not getting support from family, you don't have multiple streams of income, you're not investing, obviously. Everybody is not doing well. So there's a lot of people in those communities that on surface, on paper, it looks good. They got the house, they got the car. But if they lose that job, it might be a wrap. You know what I mean? Something happens, it might be. Trust me, I lived it. My parents making good money, six-figure salaries, both of them. You ever come home and that blue note on the door? Oh, the water about to get turned off. Or that pink note on the door? Oh, you about to get kicked out the house. Or the electricity get turned off. Or you get taken out of class because your parents ain't paid the tuition on time. And I'm like, how? You driving a Suburban, you driving this. And as a child, you don't fucking know. But then you get older and you realize, oh yeah, they was making money, but it was also stretching. So, a lot of people have to be reality check. Like a lot of people are gonna get a reality check. A lot of people are starting to get this reality check under Trump, right? Like, so it is what it is. The areas that run unopposed are the problem. Yes, the red areas. But the problem is those red areas are also like they have large territories, right? Like it's the farm towns, right? So you get to it like Springfield. Springfield's a small city, but then like a lot of the powerful people be the farmers. You know what I mean? Like these farmers own hundreds and thousands of acres. And so where we are in the city as one, our one in the city compared to the one in the county or in the country is different. They own more land. A lot of times they're business owners. And again, those people in those red parts are not the brightest bunch. But again, they lack education, they lack healthcare, they lack resources. I mean, the last 10 years, they've lacked high speed internet, right? 5G. When I worked for Verizon, like a lot of places in those small towns, especially in the hills of Appalachia, they weren't getting service. So people were trying to get internet, couldn't get internet because they didn't have hardwired through a lot of those towns. And so a lot of people had to get internet through a wireless carrier like AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, Sprint. So even when I was working, there was a lot of people who would come in trying to get internet service, and we couldn't service them because even our internet service, wireless service, didn't reach because we didn't have towers over there. So there's a lot of places in Ohio that are legit off the fucking map, and some people like it that way, right? A lot of people don't want to. A lot of people live in Ohio because they want to be off the map, but also that comes with a lot of other issues. But it's also we're gerrymandered state too, right? So gerrymandering is a huge issue. Obviously, the state politicians or the state politics doesn't represent all of us because our districts are, gerrymandered. Smoke one for our family, you and me. Yeah, I've had it with humanity. Too expensive to live. I feel like I'm no longer living much of a life. Thank God I have cannabis and yes, coffee and kratom in the 18 a.m. They want to ban that too. Yeah. Right. And I mean, look, they trying to ban everything, right? I thought this was a free country. Thought we lived in a free country, man. They're making money off it all. Yeah, they're making money off of it all. And again, we have to understand the state politics too. Like they put a lot of this stuff in different buckets, right? So whatever happened to all of that money from the lawsuit from the opioid lawsuits? Right, it was billions of dollars. Have y'all seen that money? Have y'all been impacted by those funds? The HB6, I think we were supposed to be getting some money back or something from that. But again, as people, we have to start raising hell, in your own little individual corners of Ohio. Go again. What if you have a dispensary in your community, you need to be going to your city council. What are y'all doing with that money? Right? That money shouldn't just be going to any and everybody. That money should be going to the cannabis community. That money should be going to folks most harmed by the war on drugs, prohibition. So that money should be going in the pots for expungement of records, for workforce development, for childcare, for education, for roads, for parks, community centers, things that are going to help bring those communities together. So I think a lot of people need to, really hunker down on their politicians at the state, county, and city levels. Wow. Sorry, I'm disclaimer, pay to play is not quite. Yeah. Not cool, kids. 3,000 square foot studio apartment. Verizon Wireless are snitches. Yep. They run it though. They run everything. I am from the deep south. Welcome to Ohio. Love it. Legal state. I ain't going nowhere. Yeah, I like Ohio. Honestly, like I rock with Ohio. I like the scenery of Ohio. I like to be able to go. Obviously, when you can travel through Ohio, I like to go to the parks. I love the nature parks. We have a great library system here in Columbus. We have pretty good parks here. Um, Pretty good food, restaurants, stuff like that. Like I don't really go out a lot. Um, but I mean, you could do. I mean, pace is cool. Cost of living. Obviously, having kids. So yeah, I mean, career wise, I mean, I feel like I could do whatever I want. I got my degree in healthcare administration, but I always my goal was to always be an entrepreneur. And so again, I had started my business, and then we got pregnant, and then Black Lives Matter happened, George Floyd happened, and so I was like, I'm not putting my kid in none of these schools around Upper Arlington, that's for sure. So my wife makes good money, and so I was like, at least for the first few years, I'll be a stay-at-home dad. So did that. And then my son turned 4, and then we got pregnant again with our daughter, and I was like, well, I can't do it for my son and not do it for my daughter. So then 4 years with my daughter. So it's been 8 years, and then the last year I've had my nephew because my sister-in-law, she was actually head of one of the largest daycare centers in the region, and then she was like tired of that, so she got a job with the state. And so while they were figuring out their transition, I was like, well, shit, I'm not working, so I'll help you watch Jacoby. So now I've been watching my nephew for the last year and a half, and it don't look like they trying to get him in daycare no time soon. So I'll probably end up watching him until I tell him like I'm done. And I'm almost ready because I'm like, I could be doing a lot more. Obviously I don't make a lot of money watching my nephew. So but I'm like, I could make a lot more money, if I wasn't watching my nephew. Where's Amish country? I don't know where Amish country is. All over Ohio, Hartsville, Ohio is very big. And close to Pennsylvania, I think. It's not your land and never will be. You pay tax on the land, so when will be paying for Jerry? Let me see. The victims aren't here to collect it. You couldn't pay me to run a business. Too much of a headache. Yeah, it's all a headache. That's why you hire people. You hire smart people. And that's why, I mean, that's why people end up getting caught up, right? Because a lot of people don't want to run the business. They don't want the headache of managing people, having to cover all the stuff. But then it's like, well, I want to work for somebody and I want them to have the headache. And then when they treat you dirty, it's like, oh, it's double-edged sword. I'd rather, and again, most businesses, you got to choose what works for you, choose what works for your personality. Because trust me, I'm not good at sales. I could be good at sales, but I don't like sales. You know what I mean? Like I hate sales. You know what I mean? Either you want it or you don't. Like I'm not about to be here studying you. Oh, well, you said this. Well, we got this product and this service for you over here. Somebody tried to come sell me on the internet the other day. I'm like, I don't want it. You're not selling me. I'm not switching. I'm comfortable where I'm at right now. And I have a no solicitation sign on my door. Leave me alone. But I get it. People just trying to hustle, right? Everybody just trying to work, trying to make their ends meet. So I get it. All right, let me go ahead and share these some of these articles. Y'all been keeping me busy today. Thanks to everybody tuning in, man. I appreciate the support always. Always appreciate the love. Oh, I did want to go over this though too. Ohio State released this the other day. So we'll go over this. So this was released last year, March 2025. Potential loss of host community cannabis fund revenue. Ohio municipalities give their 2 cents. So yeah, these were the two bills that they were going over in the State House too. So Senate Bill 56 is what got passed. Initially redirected all marijuana tax revenue to the state general fund, but was later revised to eliminate any tax-related provisions. So yeah, that before they were trying to get all the tax money to the general revenue fund. And they kept saying, well, we don't have a way of getting that money to the cities because there was nothing put into the law that told us how to do it. So then they came back and was like, well, we'll send the 36% for the community host fund, but then the other 36% for social equity will go to the general fund. And then somehow miraculously, they found a way to send the money to the cities. But the whole time we were going to the State House, they were like, we don't have a mechanism. There's no mechanism in the bill to send this money. There's no mechanism in the bill. Create a fucking mechanism, bitch. Sorry. It's just, but that's the politics. House Bill 160 reduces the allocation to host communities to only nearly 20% of marijuana tax revenue. So this is old. I thought it was newer. Ohio State has a lot of information too. And one of the issues I have with Ohio State, like literally Ohio State has a whole law section about drug and policy stuff. And I've only seen one person. Kat Packer showed up to one of the hearings and testified, and that's it. Like they're not collaborating with any local organizations. They're not collaborating with people that know on SB 56. And it's like y'all got a whole law firm that is literally research-based, study-based, and y'all not. Why? It's weird. It's weird. So yeah. But I mean, we have Ohio State right here, and they don't really do a lot of public forums or anything for the community, which is like Ohio's a land grant institute, so they should be doing a lot more for the community. But I won't bark up that tree right now. But yeah, Ohio State has some good information, and sign up for their newsletter. They're usually dropping some information. Let's see. This was the email that I got the other day that I pulled this from. So let's see. So a closer look at that one. So in late January, the Ohio Department of Taxation began releasing host community cannabis fund tax dollars to municipalities, with tax data now available from the Ohio Department of Taxation, the Drug Enforcement Policy Center, DEPC, compared its estimates to actual fund earnings. In March 2025, DEPC estimated that Ohio's host community funds would earn approximately $22 million from adult use marijuana excise taxes in fiscal year 2025. In its report, Potential Loss of Host Community Cannabis Fund Revenue, Ohio municipalities give their 2 cents. According to the new data, the fund earned a little over $20 million in fiscal year 2025. In its report, DEPC estimated that each licensed dispensary would earn roughly $175,000 for its host community in fiscal year 2025, with some geographical variations. For the city of Columbus, which had 15 dispensaries located in its jurisdiction at the time. That meant an estimate of $2,625,000, which matches almost exactly the newly released FY fiscal year 25 figure from the Ohio Department of Taxation of $2,617,909. But while the prediction of Columbus was spot on, our new interactive map illustrates some surprises as well. For each municipality receiving marijuana tax revenue, visitors can see population, number of active dispensaries, and marijuana tax revenue per each fiscal year. Just to highlight a few surprises, Columbia Township, excuse me, with roughly 4,400 residents, has earned close to $1.6 million to date, which is almost double of the tax revenue going to the city of Cleveland, $800,000 with approximately 370,000 residents. Our marijuana reform and tax page has also been updated with new insights into Ohio's post-SB 56 tax and revenue structures compared to other 23 states that have fully legalized adult use. So let me go here. That's what I was just under, huh? Reaction from Ohio municipalities showed that while some cities had not yet budgeted for the revenue due to lack of clear information about how much they could expect to receive, many others counted on the tax revenue and were frustrated with the proposed changes. Overall, we identified three broad themes in the participants' responses. First, when it came to how municipalities plan to spend expected marijuana tax revenue, they typically spoke of prioritizing law enforcement, fire, infrastructure maintenance, and parks. They indicated that this revenue would be critical to their ability to maintain public safety and improve the lives of their residents. Second, municipalities discussed scenarios of how it would affect residents if the money were revoked, including potential tax increases and layoffs. Third, many respondents expressed the importance of financial autonomy for local communities, as local governments comprised of people who live in those communities are best positioned to know how to positively impact their residents. They felt frustrated and disappointed with the state lawmakers, seeing the possible tax revenue reallocation as a resource grab and a betrayal of local communities that made decisions about allowing marijuana dispensaries based in the current law's promise of additional revenue for host communities. Plans for spending marijuana tax revenue. When asked how the elimination of the host tax funds would impact Ohio cities, many expressed a need for the revenue because it would go towards essential services and public safety organizations such as police and fire. For example, Lebanon and Springfield mentioned that they would use the funds for law enforcement expenses. Others answered that they were planning to use it for infrastructure, roads, and/or parks. Respondents mentioned that the revenue was needed as a public safety and infrastructure have become more expensive. The ballot measure allowed for the revenue to be deposited into the city's general revenue fund, so its use would be unrestricted. That said, I would plan to use the revenue directly to support police officers and firefighter pay and benefits. That's Athens. Quote, we had a general idea any tax revenues would fund the pension plan of police and fire. Like, that's diabolical. How y'all been criminalizing people using the police for 6 decades. Now it's tax money coming from the weed and it's still going to the police. I point those two funds out because while the General Assembly is considering eliminating local tax funding, marijuana to local governments, they are considering increasing our contribution to Ohio police and fire funds by substantial amounts. Increasing our costs and decreasing our sources of funds will mean we do not fill vacancies in police and fire ranks. It also means we may not be able to replace equipment. Fire trucks have gone for 400,000 have gone from $400,000 to $1,200,000. That is Zanesville. One of the primary considerations has been infrastructure maintenance, particularly paving. Ensuring our roads are well maintained and is a priority for us, and a necessity and demand for paving uh, exceeds our financial resources. Goshen Township. The city of Norwood plans to use marijuana tax revenue funds for infrastructure improvements. Our streets and bridges are in dire need of repair replacement. Many years of underfunding and lack of resources to take on large critical infrastructure projects with minimal preventative maintenance means communities bear the burden of trying to take on huge projects with limited funds. These funds will be used to improve the community for the people who live in the community. Norwood. Other respondents stated they were planning to use it for parks and were disappointed that their city would not be able to follow through on plans to benefit the community. We have earmarked the revenue for our parks department, and we're very disappointed to hear of the possible change in policy. Last year, we created a dedicated parks department, and this year have hired 2 more full-time positions. Since becoming mayor of Hillsborough, we have tried hard to build up our parks to provide more for our residents to enjoy. The current policy on tax revenue needs to be unchanged the way it was sold to our voters and our municipality. We are eager to use this revenue in a way that benefits our whole community, end quote, Hillsborough. The general plan was to dedicate the funds to park improvements so we can offer additional options for residents of all ages. Specifically, this would go to our civic park redesign. We are confident that this use of funds would provide the best overall impact. Once the project is complete, those funds would go towards programming in our parks. Reynoldsburg. There were a few projects that council was looking at using the marijuana tax revenue for. The main one was updating our parks, fixing the parks, adding new lights, fixing basketball courts and tennis courts, along with updating the older playground equipment and making everything more accessible for everyone. With the potential of the tax revenue being eliminated, all of these ideas on what we could do with the money would be put on hold. The ultimate goal with the money was to use it on projects that would be of value to our residents that otherwise the village would not have an extra funding to accomplish. So, as shown by various varied responses, marijuana tax revenue is considered an important resource for attaining community improvements, maintaining police officer and firefighter salaries and equipment, and developing infrastructure and programming. Many projects would need to be placed on hold, and municipalities may have to resort to other unpopular measures to offset the burden imposed by the state of Ohio if the tax revenue is eliminated. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to read all of that, but y'all can if you want to. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't even sharing that joint to y'all. I wasn't even sharing it to y'all. My bad, my bad, my bad. Let's see where we left. They are being paid off, Gerald. Oh, I already know. Everybody being paid off. It's what is your price? All right. You signed the contract. What's your price? That's why I own my own shit. So does a place that sells alcohol pay a community tax? Their money goes into the Jobs Ohio bucket, I believe. So there's Jobs Ohio, which is a nonprofit, and I believe that is what some of those funds from alcohol taxes goes into the Jobs Ohio fund, and then I think the other portion goes into the general fund. But I can look that up. All the money should be reinvested in the program. Exactly. It should go right back into the community. All cannabis tax money should be spent on schools and our elderly. Well, again, contact your city council. Contact your city council. Because again, the money is coming from the state. It's going to the city. Then the city is determining what they're going to do with that money. That's why I say, go talk to your state representative. Go talk to your county commissioner. Go talk to your city council, right? Because right now they're defining what they're going to do with that money. And if nobody comes and says, hey, I'm a cannabis consumer. Hey, I spend money in cannabis. Hey, this money should go here, right? If nobody does that and we just allow them to do what they want to do, they're going to do what they want to do. So I know I've reached out to our city council here in Columbus. I've reached out to City Council President Hardin because I know that they have plans for this money. But I believe some of that fund should go towards people in the cannabis industry, folks that like want to start small cannabis businesses or want to get into the cannabis industry. Like we should be educating people, right? Minnesota just did like a city finance dispensary. I don't know how that turned out or how it's going to turn out, but it seems like an interesting concept. Love y'all, so hang in there. Appreciate it. Tax their profits, not their consumers. The police is to feed the machine and keep us in jail and paying fines. Well, exactly. Right now, with obviously the new laws, roadside drug testing for cannabis is BS and should be fought in court for sure. Prior use is not impairment for sure. They are making up reasons to spend money, fix up an old fire truck. Cannabis needs to be a standalone, apart department and not controlled by politicians for sure. I hear that. I own my stuff too. I mean, you got to, man. Like, and I tell people just start small. Like, a LLC is only $100, right? So even if you work for somebody, or even if you're getting government benefits, take some of that cash, get some of that money, get you an LLC, go to the state website. It costs $100 to get an LLC, right? You can look up everything else on the internet, chat GPT on how to formally set up your business or whatever. But just to get like the business, like to have the LLC, $100. The EIN, which is your social security number, right? Like we all have our social security numbers. Well, every business has its own EIN number, which operates as a social security number. The EIN number is free from the IRS. So you get your business LLC, determine what type of business you want, whether you want an S corp, C corp, nonprofit. There's various different ways that you can go about this. And again, I'm not a business professional. Go talk to a lawyer. So for me, start my business LLC, get the EIN number for free from the IRS, go to the bank. I tell people to go to a community bank, go to a credit union, and go open up a business checking account with the credit union. You take your LLC information, you take your EIN number, and that's basically all you really need. And whether a check or cash that you want to start your business account with. So now you legit. Now you can start accepting money as a business. You start doing, let's say you do a job. Somebody writes you a check. Don't write the check to me. Write the check to blank, blank, blank LLC. You take that check, put it in the bank. You do some more business, or you have a job. You take the money from your job, put it into your business bank account. What happens is you start to build a relationship with the bank, and then the bank starts to offer you services, right? So then you can get a business credit card. You can get business funding, a business loan. You can go to the city, you can go to the state, you can go to different nonprofits and get loans, grants to help you start your business or grow your business. The state has a lot of programming right now to really help people get on their feet with businesses. And so you can get a loan to go get let's say you want a storefront, right? And that storefront's going to cost you $5,000 a month, right? So you need to go get the money to support that. So yeah, I mean, there's ways, but you got to understand the systems, right? And so a lot of people just don't understand the game. You got to play the game because it's the game. It's capitalism. So you got to figure out the game, right? But then why do people start businesses, right? People start businesses because taxes, right? So again, we talked about earlier, you could be making 150, 200,000, and you got to pay half of that in taxes. Well, when you own a business, you pay taxes last, right? So all that money comes in, and then at the end of the year, that's when you are taxed as a business. And so what do most businesses do? Let's say they made $1 million, right? If I made $1 million, do I want to show the IRS that I made $1 million? No, I don't want to show them I made $1 million because they're going to tax me on $1 million. But as a business, I can pay my employees more, so you can give maybe some bonuses. give yourself a bonus. You may buy some more equipment. You may travel for work purposes, for a conference or something. You may get a new vehicle. You may get new equipment. And so now you take that million and you take whatever out of that million. So let's say you spent half of that, 500,000, 600,000. You're left with 400,000. So now instead of being taxed on a million, you're only being taxed on 400,000, right? And so that's why business people do what they do. When you really look at how much money like Jeff Bezos and them they're making and taking in, it's not a lot of money. Like they only pay themselves. Typically, they pay themselves less than like 100 grand because they don't want to pay personal taxes, right? So they'll have everything in their business name, the house in the business name, cars, business name, credit cards, business name. Everything is a business name. They usually own nothing. Their goal is to own nothing but control everything, right? So if I don't own it, but I control it, right? So why don't people sue Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, all of these dudes? Well, you can sue them all you want to. What you gonna get? They don't have a lot of capital on them, right? They a lot of their money is in stock options from the company. A lot of their money is in the assets, right? So the buildings, the computers, the intellectual property, the patents, the trademarks and stuff like that. The data, right? So a lot of their power is in that. They don't hold a lot of cash typically, right? And they'll spread their money out, right? They'll buy real estate property. So yeah, they might have, $30 million worth of real estate, right? But then that real estate will be in one of their businesses, right? It's not going to be controlled and under them because again, somebody might want to sue them. If you want to sue them, you got to take them to court. And then you got to show them all your stuff, right? And so that's why a lot of business people put everything under their business, all right? Because if I know you got money or I know you're rich, and let's say we get in a car accident, oh, I'm about to sue you. And then you try to sue them, and you be like, I ain't got shit. You can't sue me. I don't got no money in my bank account, right? You can sue me all you want to. I got $50 in my bank account. You know what I mean? Like I don't own the home. I don't own the car. It's all in my business. You can't sue unless you're suing the business, right? And then if you sue the business, then guess what the business has? The business has lawyers on contract, on retainer, right? So they're going to drag you out, right? And then they might end up settling because they might be like, well, we can give you 50,000, 100,000 and you'll be quiet and shut up, right? Because most people will accept 50,000, 100,000, right? And now you got to shut up and the business keeps making money, All right. So we, like as citizens, we should be suing the state because the state is hurting a lot of people. We should be suing the city because these cities operate as corporations, right? We should be suing a lot of these major corporations. But again, those are class action lawsuits. Again, it takes time, it takes money, it takes coordination. But yeah, I mean, the state is doing a lot of people dirty. A lot of these companies are doing a lot of people dirty, but a lot of people, they again, it is the way it is. And a lot of people just accept it because this is the way that it's always been. So let me see. There was an article that just came out about. Okay, I'll try to talk about. So we'll read this one. Time a few more minutes and I'll head out. All right, so this article is coming out of Local 12, Avondale. Cincinnati is expected to receive $2.5 million annually from legal adult use marijuana sales within city limits, and the city council member is proposing that the funds be directed to neighborhoods disproportionately affected by past drug enforcement. Councilmember Mark Jeffries unveiled his Harm to Hope proposal Thursday alongside several African-American community leaders. The plan would place the city's marijuana tax proceeds into a restricted fund dedicated to targeted investments in communities that experienced high rates of marijuana-related arrests before legalization. Let's see. Watch this video.
There is a critical need for blood donors.
Quote, we have been disproportionately affected by the war on drugs. Our communities, end quote, says Cincinnati NAACP President David Whitehead.
Cincinnati is about to get a big windfall from legalized adult use marijuana sales, which began about a year and a half ago. One council member has ideas on where that money should go. Local 12's James Pilcher is here with the new proposal after asking city leaders how it would work. James?
Yeah, Cincinnati is in line to receive $2.5 million in tax proceeds from recreational weed sales inside city limits. Councilmember Mark Jeffries says that money should go to city neighborhoods hurt the most when the drug was illegal and arrests were common.
We have been disproportionately affected by the war on drugs, our communities.
That's Cincinnati NAACP President David Whitehead speaking on the impact when cannabis and marijuana was illegal, and the fact that blacks were 4 times more likely to face criminal charges than whites in Ohio, even though usage rates were thought to be the same. That's the main reason behind a new proposal from City Council member Mark Jeffries, who unveiled his Harm to Hope proposal amid a group of African American community leaders Thursday. It would take the city's annual proceeds from legal adult use cannabis sales and spend them in specific areas impacted the most in the past. Can you go into detail in terms of how this would work and what would it take to make your vision come true? Jeffrey says the money would go into a restricted fund, meaning it could only be spent on certain items. An advisory committee of city leaders and citizens would recommend what neighborhoods would get funding and how the money would be spent.
So that board of advisors is critical to provide guidance, recommendation, but also accountability. So we all are on the same page that these dollars are having the impact that we intend to, and that it lives up beyond when I'm in office. You know, we have term limits.
But Jeffries has specific recommendations for the spending from the outset, including helping the 5,000 or so residents with marijuana convictions expunge their records, speeding up lead paint abatement, and better funding for youth and community development programs. The Urban League's Hallman Center for Social Justice's Treva Reed oversees the expungement program that agency helps fund. She says clearing a criminal past can make a huge difference to individuals looking for a fresh start.
And what we have contributed is a step, is significant, and coupled with the $2.5 million and growing, it will absolutely make a difference in the lives of our community members.
Now, again, the actual specific communities which will help have yet to be determined, but Jeffrey says those neighborhoods like Avondale, Bond Hill, and Roselawn would probably be atop the list. He also plans to try to get private foundations and corporations involved to better leverage these proposed restricted funds. Jeffries intends to take his proposal to all of City Council in the next few weeks. It would take a specific ordinance to create the restricted fund and then another one to create the advisory board. Now, I reached out to Mayor Aftab Puraval's office for a response. In reaction to this, I didn't hear back in time for this story. Megan, back to you.
James, thank you. Evanston, Illinois created something similar in recent years, but devoted those funds to affordable housing issues. There are similar statewide programs in New York, Illinois, and New Jersey.
So, yeah, I mean, there's tons of ways that we can, do these things, right? Like depending on what city you're in, how big the city is. And that's why, as Ohioans, right, like we have to really start to understand, like we may live in the same state, but we're living in different realities, right? Like me being in Columbus, I have a lot of different access to different things, whether I want to go to Westerville, whether I want to go to New Albany, whether I want to go to Gahanna, or I'm right here on the highway, so I can get to the city really quick. But again, I've worked in Springfield, Ohio. I've lived in Athens, Ohio. I've lived in Zanesville. My family's from Zanesville. I got family up in Cleveland. So I know every place is a little bit different. And so everybody's needs are different. And so everybody's solutions are going to be a little bit different, right? And so, but this is why people have to get involved, right? You have to reach out to your city council. If you're worried about how these funds are going to be used, why aren't you contacting your state or your city council? Right? Like if you want to be involved in the cannabis community, like you should be a leader. Like we need more people to take that. Like, I'm not saying you have to be a politician, but it's like, if you know about cannabis and you understand it, like, why wouldn't you want to use your expertise to help your community, right? Like to better your community. And I feel like that's the position that we as cannabis consumers, medical cannabis patients, this is our role right now, right? Like, we are the educators of everybody right now, because for the last 6 decades, everybody has been, oh, no on weed. So no, we have to educate people. It's not just smoke weed or you need to find a better drug dealer. No, you should be talking about terpenes, right? You should be talking about them. You should be talking about the plant. You should be talking about how cannabis has helped you out of your depressive state, how cannabis has helped you, normalize your life after dealing with trauma or navigating MS or navigating cancer or navigating chronic pain using cannabis. Like, build community, right? Start having events at your house where you're educating folks. You know what I mean? Because if we all just stay in our little corners and as long as I got my weed, I'm okay. As long as I can go get my weed, I'm okay. Then we will have this fight. Like, we should be loud. Like, it's not good enough to do, like, be loud. It's legal. And it's been a whole year and crickets. You know what I mean? Like, I was telling somebody, I think I'm going to propose, or not propose, but host an event, because it's like we haven't even truly celebrated cannabis legalization. It's like we got cannabis legal and everybody was already smoking, but it's like we're not really celebrating it. Like, you go to downtown, like, you might find one or two people smoking weed on High Street. Like, it's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? But again, you got a bunch of high sedity restaurants on High Street, and you got a bunch of homeless folks, and you got a bunch of vacant buildings, and and it's like, oh, well, all we do is smell weed. And it's like, no, well, you haven't invested in the community. Like, you haven't invested in the people. You haven't invested in the infrastructure. You know what I mean? And I know so many people that smoke weed, but it's so many people that smoke weed that also are quiet as fuck about it, because whether it's like, oh, my job, I don't want people to know, because then it's like, a lot of people, when I first started publicly talking about weed, like, everybody thought I was crazy, because I went from being this, clean cut, all American, is like, now I'm smoking weed on camera, and everybody's like, yo, I'm unhireable, right? Like, but it's like, at the end of the day, I've been waiting for the day for weed to be legal, and that's why I got my med card before, because I was like, if I can get my med card, then I can smoke, because people judge you, people critique you, right? Like, it's a character flaw. It's like, no, this is medical. Like, even my best friend, like, we've had these fights. He didn't smoke, we had drink. And now, he in Colorado, because he works for University of Colorado. And he like, yeah, I know people, people do it recreationally. Everybody don't do it medically. And I'm like, bro, I've been telling you this for years, bro. But now all of a sudden, like, same thing with NIL. I was like, these dudes deserve to get paid. No, they don't deserve to get paid. Now he the one writing the check. And I'm like, I'm always like looking ahead, like, to the future. You know what I mean? Because it's like, at the end of the day, like, you got to think, like, I was smoking weed at 17. It was illegal. Then Maryland got legalization. DC got legalization. Well, that's where I'm from. Then New York legalized. I was born in New York. And then Ohio finally got it. And I got friends that are politicians running political circles in Maryland, DC. One of my homegirls from growing up, she actually lived right around the corner from my best friend, but she owns a dispensary in Maryland. My dude Tahir, he owns a dispensary in New Jersey. My guy Kevin Ford, he opened up a program similar to what we need, which was like educating folks on the cannabis industry, policy, legislation, expungements. And now he's running for an office in Maryland. So yeah, I like people I grew up around. Like, once I see my friends like owning dispensaries and shit, and I'm here in Ohio, I'm like, fuck, I can't own no dispensary. Like, I'm not about to reach out to none of my rich friends and be like, yo, I'm about to try to open up a dispensary. I need, 5 million, right? Like, I'm not about to fundraise 5 million. Then for the MSOs to come in and be doing what they just did, right? Fixing prices, all the bullshit they did. And then here I am as a small grower trying to compete with multi-state operators who got hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Like, they got private equity money, they got, So that's why I just did this. Because I was like, it's way easier to do. Like, I don't really have no competition here, right? Like, Ohio Cannabis Live, that's the homie. So Anthony, but like, we have two different vibes. You know what I mean? Like, he was driving all around the state. Like, he was going to, visit the dispensaries. He was doing tours of the dispensaries. And I was like, man, fuck all of that. I'm not giving these people no publicity. You know what I mean? Like, on my own, like, I'm not about to be paying no gas. I'm not be paying no extra car expenses, no extra insurance just to film these dispensaries. And they not giving me nothing. There's no kickback. Ugh. So, but we got two different, vibes. You got Ohio TV that they've started. You got Pothead Genius. There's a few like influencers and people in the industry, but I want there to be more. Like, there's so many people that like to talk shit, but then don't get on camera, You know what I mean? Like, if you're a grower, show people how to grow. Start a YouTube channel and show people how to grow. Start a Facebook page or start a Facebook group. Like, everybody likes to, in Ohio, people love joining other people's shit and then dogging it. It's like, start your own shit. But nobody likes to be critiqued, right? Like, everybody loves to critique. We love to judge, but then we won't do our own. It's very easy to, see other people working hard, trying to do their best and be like, oh, well, he could have did this better. It's the same thing with football, right? People see you drop a pass. Oh my God, like, I would have caught that. It's so easy. You get paid millions of dollars. You're on scholarship. You fuck up every day doing basic shit. But you expect somebody, like, we're human. We're all human. We're going to fuck up. I write threads and I may have a misspelling or I may, not have punctuation. Oh my God. And just like, who gives a fuck? I'm creating. I'm constantly putting thoughts out. I'm constantly putting things out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really judge and critique other people because I'm constantly building and working on myself. You know what I mean? I don't have time to be worried about what they doing over here. Like, I know what's in my brain. I know what's in my heart. I know what I have the energy and the capacity to do, and that's what I do. You know what I mean? And I think there needs to be more creators. There needs to be more builders. There need to be more people doing instead of waiting, instead of receiving, instead of, oh, well, I don't operate like that. Like, I've always broken the laws. I've always broken the rules every step of the way. Elementary school, black kid in private school, wearing sneakers. You know what I mean? Like, I had my high school teachers help me write my papers. You know what I mean? Like, there's always different ways that I've been able to navigate, you know what I mean, to have assistance in this life that, may be seen as frowned upon, right? But at the end of the day, everybody needs help. Everybody needs assistance. Everybody that has gotten somewhere has gotten some help or support from somewhere. Somebody opened the door. Somebody wrote the email. Somebody sent the text. Somebody made the call. Somebody wrote the check. Everybody has gotten some type of assistance in their success, right? And so, again, but if you don't create, if you don't build, if you don't start, like, if I didn't start Ohio Cannabis Report, we wouldn't be here, right? It was simply an idea in my head. That's it. And now we're here, and we got 6 people on the chat. You know what I mean? We got over 200 subscribers, and I have 2 other YouTubes too, and I had to restart this one. So, like, our other YouTube has 77 subs on it, and I really just started this one. Our first Instagram page got hacked, but I still can post from Facebook. I can't get into it on Instagram though on my phone, which is odd. But once I started talking about OCAN, that's when that happened. But we have over a couple thousand followers on Instagram. And then I have my personal, like, I do a lot of stuff in my personal. Like, I'd rather be personal, but I started Ohio Cannabis Report, maybe get more people involved. But people got to create, man. People got to build. Like the event that I'm hosting. Again, hosting the event, social equity event in Columbus, Ohio, April 4th. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get your tickets, free event. We will have resource tables there. It'll be great for networking, connecting. One of my giveaways, I'm going to give away some weed. So we're going to give probably an ounce away of some craft grow from Athens. Probably have some THC beverages there and stuff like that. But it'll be a great opportunity to network, connect with people in the industry, people that are grassroots, people that are small business owners, bud tenders, growers. So there'll be all types of different people there, politicians possibly. But again, I had the idea. I'm like, okay, I've never hosted a forum before. I've never hosted a panel discussion before. Nerve-wracking, of course. A lot of energy, of course. But I don't believe God gave me anything that I can't accomplish, right? If God gave me the vision, he gonna do something. And if I don't do it, then that's on me. And then I can't be like, well, ain't nobody doing nothing for me. Ain't nobody giving me this. Ain't nobody. No, I'm creating all of my shit. Every connection that I've made in the cannabis industry has been for me just creating and connecting some shit. So again, the event, I had the idea. I put it out on the internet. I think I put it out on Threads. And then, like, that day, the event space that we're actually hosting the panel discussion, the owner of the event space hit me up and was like, I would love to host this event at my co-working space. Just like that. You know what I mean? Like, for free, because it's a community event. You know what I mean? But think about it. If I never had the thought, I never took the thought, put it on the line, and I like to do things and put it out there, right? So I'll say, hey, I want to create this. I want to build this, knowing and understanding that I have to do it backwards, right? But if I say it, if I put it out there, if it's on the record, just like writing it down, right? If you see it, more likely to accomplish it, right? So I like to speak it so I can hear it. I can play it back. It holds me accountable. Also, if I put something out online, then I can see what happens in the ether, right? What comes back to me. And so again, put the event out there online, boom, got an event space, right? I was probably going to do it at the library or something, but I wanted to do it someplace like a private business so we could potentially smoke and consume. So got the event space. Now I'm like, damn, well, shit, I got the event space. Now I got to make sure I got people that can talk on the panel. So I hit up Ebony Hempress. She's an influencer. She works for a couple different brands. She started a podcast. So I was like, yo, would you be down to host and moderate this event for me? Because I'm like, I don't necessarily want to host it. I'll organize it. I would be a part of it, but I don't really want to moderate. But I also want to give other people in the community opportunities to, showcase their skills or what have you. So she's been hosting the podcast. I'm like, boom, she's been putting herself out there in the industry. You want to host? Bet. She was like, of course, I would love to. All right, bet. So I'll figure out the fucking agenda and get everything situated. Like, I'll help you with the questions. So she's going to host. Well, then I reach out to Anthony, Mastermind, Ohio Cannabis Live. I was like, yo, would you want to be on this panel, this discussion, this social equity? Of course. Boom. Anything you need, you want to do Ohio Cannabis Live? So I'll probably have him streaming it as well on Ohio Cannabis Live. Then I hit up Sarah Koya out of Athens. She's a home grower. She's an entrepreneur, has her own grow shop. Huge advocate and activist in the cannabis space in Athens. Her favorite strain is Lemon G. Hit her up. She was like, I think I might be out of town. She got back to me. I'm not going to be out of town. I'd love to be on the panel. Boom, got her. Reached out to Karen O'Keefe from Marijuana Policy Project. She was like, well, that's our busy season. I won't be able to come in person, but I could probably do it video. It's like, bet, that'll work. Still got to figure out the logistics on that, but we got her locked in. Then I hit up Ronnie. Ronnie is with Ohio Boys, and he grows his own weed. He's a veteran out of Athens. Yo, Ronnie, would love to have you as a part of this panel for social equity because I know you doing your thing. It's like, I would love to. Was that 4 panelists right there? Like, so again, like the idea, put it out on the internet, did a little chat GPT to configure my thoughts, got the event space, reached out to a few people, and now it's working backwards. It's just filling in the spaces, right? So now I'm seeking partners and collaborators and sponsors, right? So I've gotten 6 sponsorships already. I got 2 social equity, and I got 4 community sponsors. I have a couple organizations that'll be there handing out information. I have 4 to 5 volunteers. I reached out to my cousin who's a part of a biker gang as security. You know what I mean? So again, like just like that, right? Like, and I'm like, I'm not no event producer like that. Like, I don't really do, and I don't really like talking to a lot of people or managing all these people and doing all this stuff. But I'm like, we need to be having more conversations. Everything can't just be, I'm just going to smoke weed, or I'm just going to go to the weed joint and we just going to be like, I'm 36, about to be 37. Like, let's have some real life conversations about policy and politics that is going to affect all of us, especially the most marginalized, especially the poor, especially low income, especially working class, especially folks on government assistance. I don't give a fuck about the elite. Why would I? They're good. So why, like, I could easily not say anything. I could easily not do anything, but I am choosing to do it because I understand, one, the harm that has already been done, right? Like, there's already harm, tremendous. There's so much harm that has been done to our society through the criminalization of people through cannabis and drugs. And now our state wants to recriminalize those same communities and people, while you have those other wealthy communities that won't say shit and then keep smoking, keep growing in their homes, in their basements, at grandma's house, mom's house, keep going to college campuses, and your lives won't be touched. But the communities that they will target will be the most low income, poor, working class folks that have already been fucked up for generations. And if you can't see that, if you don't have the moral compass to be like, damn, like, I'm good, I'm gonna be good, they're not gonna be good, right? And for me, I just can't not do it. You know what I mean? Like, I have privilege, even though like I don't have a ton of money, like I don't have a ton of shit, like, but I have enough, right? I have enough to build from consistently, where I know most people may not have good roads. You may not have good access to transportation. You may not have good sidewalks. You may not have, I mean, you may live in a food desert where they don't even have healthy produce. You may not even have a doctor's office or a dental office or optometrists. You know, I mean, there's so much basic shit that a lot of these communities don't have that, again, cannabis tax revenue and money could help, right? People getting jobs, right? Just think about it. If you got locked up for weed, but you want to be a part of the weed industry, and now we are able to clean you up, we're able to help you get funding and resources, and now you can go work in a cannabis dispensary, right? Now you can go work in a cannabis cultivator. Now you can go work in a processor, right? And now you can get your life back, start making some money, start feeling good about yourself, get you an apartment, get you a house or whatever. You know what I mean? It's much bigger than just me selling my little weed for my little extra bit of money, right? With a lot of people, I'm gonna sell a little extra $300-400, $1,000 a month, to cover some extra costs. But then those same people don't be speaking up a word of shit, but then be talking hella shit about everything, but don't do shit. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I don't really rock with a lot of people, because people, it's easy to hear, it's easy to watch people do this shit. It's hard to go to the fucking state house and speak up in front of them politicians. That shit ain't easy. Talk about nerve-wracking. You got lawyers, doctors, politicians, and I get it. That's why most people don't do it. But if more people did it, like, you realize the more people that do it, the more confidence you have, right? The easier it becomes, because now you have a support system. You have other people that are like, yo, this is how you do it. Or this is what my testimony is. You can just use my testimony and just fill in what you want to say, right? But we don't have that sense of community because everybody is trying to compete. Everybody wants to be better. Everybody wants a little bit more. Everybody wants a little bit more power and control than the next person. Everybody want to think, oh, he looked like he got it better, so I don't want to help him, right? He looked like he don't talk right, so I don't want to support him. I'm poor. I go for working class. You know what I mean? My wife lose her job tomorrow. I don't know what the fuck we gonna do, right? Because my business don't bring in that much money, right? But again, people have to understand, like, it is a communal thing. You know what I mean? Like, it is a team thing. You know what I mean? And until we all realize that we are all in the same fucking sinking boat, like, nothing will change, right? If you allow racism, if you allow sexism, if you allow homophobia, if you allow all the bullshit to distract you, then you'll realize that who's really losing, right? It's us that lose at the end of the day. So eat the rich. No. All right, last thing, we'll go through these statements and then we're gonna be out of here for the day. I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. Make sure y'all start your own dispensary. How? With what money? It's still a limited license. I don't know how you get the licenses. I think it's still like $50K to apply for the licenses. You still got to build out a light, or you still got to build out. You have to have a building. I don't want to have a dispensary. If I was going to do it, I am a part of, we are working on a grow facility in Springfield because one of my nonprofit board members, he was one of the founding members of, what was it? Clean Leaf, Ohio Clean Leaf, I think. So he had the license, he had the grow license for Ohio Clean Leaf. And so we're supposed to be working on a project with them. But my goal, I want vertical integration. I need seed to sell. You know what I mean? I don't want to just sell other people's products. You know what I mean? Like I want to cultivate my own brands, my own strains, my own products. Because again, like I like flower, but I also like, the lotions and oils. I like the tinctures, vapes. I want to be able to have, part of all of that branding. I want to be a part of the branding process, the lifestyle development process. I like doing more of the behind the scenes of the dispensary stuff. Like dispensaries, I feel like these dispensaries are more like fast food restaurants, right? Like you can't even smell the weed. Like you don't really have a conversation with the bud tender. I mean, you go pick you should already know what you want. You know what I mean? You order your package, you go to them, give you your ID, they go pull your order and you gone, right? That's pretty much all it is. You go to the drive-through, pre-order, go pick up your stuff. There's no, interaction truly with the bud tenders. Now, some people come in and say, hey, what do you think I should get or what do you like? But again, I don't think even the bud tenders are incentivized to really care too much because again, they're on their feet all day. I don't know how much they're getting paid. Probably not a whole bunch, probably about 15, 16 bucks an hour, if that. And I know they're getting tips. So for me, I like where I'm at, man. You know what I mean? Especially while it's it's crooked. Like you got these MSOs killing the game. You can get anywhere in Ohio in like 3 hours. It's pretty small. Yeah, but not everybody got cars or good cars, and not all the roads are good. Ohio needs transit. Ohio should have a train system because I shouldn't have to drive. Like, it'd be much easier to get on a bus, to get on a metro, to go somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to go up to Cleveland more. I would love to go to Cincinnati more, but it's again like driving, putting the miles on the car. Like, again, when you come from a place like DC and you're used to like, oh, I can literally leave my house, walk, half a mile, half a block, get on the bus, take the bus 5-10 minutes, get on the metro, and that metro can take me from Maryland to DC to Virginia. And like I can go anywhere from there. Like once I'm in DC, I can go to U Street, I can go to Georgetown, I can go to the waterfront, I can go to Alexandria, Virginia, I could be over here, I can go to my friend's house over there. Like it's just way easier. Way easier. And I'm saying for most people, like we got to understand a car is still a luxury in 2026. Like to be able to afford the inflated gas prices, to be able to afford the maintenance on the car, brakes, oil change, keep the car nice, right? I'm about to do my oil change this week. I got to do my brakes, rotors. I took over my wife's car. We've just paid it off, and we got 150,000 on this car. It's been pretty good. We Nissan Rogue, but again, like we have to think about the masses, right? Like not just the exceptional few. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people don't really know what's going on in Ohio because it's a lot of people not leaving their city. They not going nowhere. The car they got is gonna be good from A to B, and that's it. You know what I mean? So again, yeah. But also, I don't want to put all the miles on my car. And where the fuck am I going? Like, do I really want to go to Cleveland? No. Do I really want to go to Cincinnati? No. I'll go to Athens every now and again. My wife and them from Zanesville, so we go to Zanesville all the time. But like, I don't really go to Springfield. I've been going to Springfield a lot the last 6 years. But like, I really don't be having the urge. Like, I'm not a baseball person, so I don't really, maybe when my kids get a little older, we'll go to baseball games, to see the Reds or. Like, I'm not a Browns fan. The only way I'm gonna go to Cincinnati for a game is if they play in the Ravens. You know what I mean? So I know there's some other activities up there, but like I really just don't have that urge or need to be like, I got everything I need really right here. They made us criminals again for gifting cannabis to people who can't afford it. This is so they can keep taking the playoffs from big business cannabis, payoffs from big business cannabis. One dude had his med card for PTSD from the police harassment over weed. 5 million. I don't know what that's referring to. Should be able to rent a little retail space for like 1,500. Yeah, a little jump. A month. You still got utilities billed out, depending on what you're running. 12.5K will get you a micro license in Michigan, and you can sell from. Oh, that's fire. I didn't know that. Yeah, I don't really know Michigan laws like that, honestly. Don't break the law, please. No, we always breaking the law. What is the law? Donald Trump's in office right now. Like, what the fuck are we really talking about? What's the law? What is law? All right, the law changes. Who made the law? Who's changing the law? Human law. I miss the farmers markets that we used to have on the West Coast. Right? I mean, we need stuff like that here. You know, I know they do some out in Cincinnati. Papermaker Genetics does a lot of like farmers market style stuff. We need the diversity fund money. I know. I mean, that you think about it, that was 36%. So you would basically double up the funds that they did come or that they did get. Everything can be made from marijuana. And that's the thing too, like being that we are in an agricultural state, the one thing that really pisses me off is that we're in an agricultural state. And like I talk about weed, we talk about the smoking of weed, right? Combustion, consume it. But we don't talk about hemp. All of the different variations of hemp and things that hemp can be processed into, right? Hemp can clean the soil. Hemp can clean the water. It can clean the air. So we talk about the Rodney Hash. If y'all watch our interview with Rodney Hash, he talked about this. But East Palestine, right? And where they had the oil spill from the train wreck. You know what I mean? Use cannabis or use hemp, you know, to clean up the oil spills, right? Why aren't more of our farmers being educated on growing hemp as a cover crop, right? All these farmers are pissed about Trump, you know, and the soybean contracts with China, corn, China. Guess what? They should have been on the hemp game, right? That's also fuel. It's also food. It's also bedding for animals. Like it's so much, you know. So we get so blinders, like focused on weed, smoking weed, and it's like we should be talking about hemp, hempcrete, clothes, textiles. Like then that's where the big money is too. Like we should be building our homes out of hemp. You know what I mean? Like the innovation. But guess what? It's still federally illegal. And then you have big schools like Ohio State University, which is a federal land grant institute, not educating anybody on this. But again, this is why us as the cannabis community has to be creative. We have to come up with ideas, LLCs, businesses, and say, hey, I have this hemp construction business, or I have this hemp textile business, or I have this hemp fiber company, or, you know, like anything, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many fucking ideas, but everybody, well, I grow the best weed. I got the best smoke. So everybody just competing at the low level. You know what I mean? Think bigger. It's all cannabis sativa L. Let's be honest, and state brands are not any good either. No, none of them. Cannabis sativa L containing more plant mass than cannabinoid. And this is why I like some of y'all be on here talking that shit. Hit me up too if any of y'all ever want to come on and on the stream. I would love to have some of you guys on. You know, we could just banter back and forth. It's, as you can see, it's pretty open flow. I like, you know, keeping it that way. Called the Greyhound. It's in Columbus. But it's 2026, my guy. Fucking Greyhound. And why do I want to go to Columbus? Exactly. Like I don't invite people that don't come. Why are we bout shotting the rooftops? Why are we both shotting this from the rooftops? It's still sativa L. Cannabis sativa L. Bob doesn't follow the law. Nobody in Ohio follows the law. There's a drug type and a non-drug type, but it's all one plant for sure. Well, I appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope we gave you guys some good content today. Again, make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, TikTok. Something happened with the TikTok too, but Facebook, Instagram, Instagram, we're Ohio_cannabis_report. I do post a lot of content there. We do have a Substack as well, where I've been posting more articles about what's going on in the industry. We are also on LinkedIn. But again, if you would like to be on the show, just hit me up. As you can see, the email is right there, OhioCannabisReport@gmail.com. Always looking forward to have guests. If you want to share your story, we could do, recorded interviews as well. So again, always like to have different voices, different perspectives on the show, and people from all over, the world, really, but all over the state, just to get, perspective of what's going on in your corner of the state. And again, the event is April 4th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Central Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum and Panel. It's a free event. I just asked that you RSVP. We do have limited space. We only have about 40 tickets or 40 seats available. So I think we're at about 20 people sign up so far. And then we're accepting donations. Partial donations will go to Green Environmental Outreach, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. I'm the president of that nonprofit. We focus on sustainability in the rural and the urban communities, education, workforce development, health and wellness. We put on a free health clinic every year in Springfield, Ohio. We have a community garden in Springfield, Ohio. We are also a part of a coalition, a gardening coalition in Springfield, Ohio, that helps with policy, with green spaces, pocket parks, and parks. We do a lot of work. And so again, the nonprofit is veteran owned, women owned, and they support the work that we do over here at Ohio Cannabis Report. So again, it all goes towards a community cause. It all goes towards to supporting, our local community in this space, and hopefully being able to, speak truth and purpose behind the plant, but also helping, our communities to get out of this rut of cannabis stigma and stuff like that. So again, I look forward to meeting you all someday. Hopefully some of you guys can make it to the event and support. With that being said, I'll let you guys later. Peace, blessings. What you need to ask question before I answer? All right, y'all take it offline. Peace.